The Tanuki. It certainly is one of the most fascinating and enigmatic animals in the folklore of Japan. There are innumerable tales of its mischievous and hedonistic antics, pranks, and deceptions, not the least of which is its ability to transform itself into other shapes, both inanimate and animate, including appearing as a human. But why in the world would a human want to turn himself into a tanuki? Well, when you've heard my story, I think you'll understand. I was born on the coast of the Sea of Japan, in the quiet fishing village of Nabune, on the Noto Peninsula in Ishikawa Prefecture. Nabune is located about 12 kilometers northeast of Wajima, and it's actually a part of that lovely old seaside city that's so famous for its traditional lacquerware, its delicious seafood, and of course, its morning market. My father was a master craftsman. He worked in Wajima, inlaying beautiful artwork onto the surfaces of lacquerware pieces. My mother helped our friends and relatives in the selling of their catch of the day at the Wajima morning market. As for me, well, I guess I was still just a pretty normal schoolboy at that point. I describe my hometown of Nabune as a quiet fishing and farming village. However, in the year 1577, the quiet was dramatically shattered. Kenshin Uesumi, the famous warlord of Ichigo province to the northeast, had captured Nanao Castle, the strongest fortification on the Noto Peninsula, in the autumn of 1576. Encouraged by his conquest, he advanced his army onward to subjugate the entire region. The Uesumi forces crushed everybody in their path, and in 1577 swept toward the village of Nabune. The villagers, who didn't have any real weapons, started making preparations for an ambush using things like long-bladed hoes and scythes. But it quickly became obvious how utterly futile this would be. Nonetheless, they were driven by their burning resolve to defend their homeland, and so they asked their wise village elders what they should do. The elders instructed the villagers to create masks out of the bark of trees and long tangled hair out of seaweed, and then noisily beating on drums to make a night attack on the sleeping Uesumi forces. It is said that the Uesumi forces, shocked and terrified by this nocturnal freak attack launched by unbelievably grotesque monsters shrieking and beating their battle drums, dispersed and fled without even putting up a fight. This was the legendary beginning of the well-known Gojinjo-Daiko drumming ensemble, whose galvanizing, commemorative performances continue to this day as celebrations of gratitude to the local gods for their help in this crisis. As a young boy growing up in Nabune, I was absolutely enthralled by this story. Of course, at that age, I had never heard the word shaman, but I did believe in my heart that this was not simply a matter of brave villagers dressing up in scary costumes and ferociously beating drums, but rather the monster demons themselves being summoned by the protective goddess Okitsuhime of Heiguda Island, about 45 kilometers off the coast, in order to possess the villagers and turn them into hideous agents that could drive off the enemy and save our home. In fact, I would often have vivid dreams about these demon drummers.
Drums will beat the drums. We know what is on the way. Bound to seize our home, violence in the light of day. Hey, they've had their force to take this land. Crush us if we should make a stand. Blackened by the midnight waves, pounding in the surf, all at once I'm hard and safe. Run out! Shrieks bursting from my twisted face. Rush to their camp, our drums in place. Gojinjo-Daiko.
You can easily imagine how my dreams became my reality. For as long as I can remember, all I wanted was to learn how to play taiko and become one of those awesome demon drummers. This special tradition can only be passed down to those who were born in the village of Nabune. My right to be able to qualify made me very, very happy. And so my joyful childhood years in Nabune village were enthusiastically spent practicing taiko and rehearsing and performing with our wonderful Gojinjo-Daiko drumming ensemble.
Benkyou to shokuji to taiko to nani ga ichiban suki desu ka?
Taiko desu.
One day, on my way home from a rehearsal along my usual path, something very strange happened. I heard some kind of a flute playing a coy little melody that drew me into the woods on my right. When I peered through the bushes, there was something moving back in the trees, but then it vanished. I looked closer, but there was really nothing there. That surreal melody, though, continued to resonate in my mind. I dashed up the last part of the pathway and back to my house with an intense urge to try to poke out that melody on my elder sister's piano. Days, weeks, months, and then years passed. Life went on, and although that mysterious melody always seemed to be there in my dreams, I didn't actually hear it again in the outside world until I had become a student at Wajima High School. This time, though, it wasn't just a flute. It was being played by a whole band. But there was no one in the rehearsal room. That's when I saw her through the window. Still hearing the music, I ran back down the hallway and out through the parking lot into the street. But she wasn't there. Who was that girl? Although I often wondered about her, a few more years passed before I found out anything more about that mysterious girl. By then, I was living in the city of Kanazawa as a third-year undergraduate student at Kanazawa University, where, inspired by my ongoing participation in the Gojinjo-Daiko drumming ensemble, I had decided to major in Japanese history and folklore. One day, I was walking along on the campus when suddenly I heard that mysterious old melody again. At first, I couldn't tell whether or not I was just imagining it, and I felt confused. No, it was real. It was coming from that building up there. I had to go up there. I went into the building, followed the sound of the flute, and located the room where the music was being played. Then I just stood at the door for a moment, not knowing what to do next. Well, I couldn't restrain myself any longer.
Hi.
練習中すみません。
いえ、
この曲なんていう曲でしたっけ？
この曲ですか？
はい。
この曲は小さい頃から頭の中に流れていた曲なんで、題名は。
そうですか。わかりました。ありがとうございます。練習中すみません。
Now that was embarrassing. Even so, there was something there in her voice when she was speaking about that melody. It was all just too strange. So I decided to wait for her and try my luck at a friendly chat. And to my surprise, not to mention relief, that went very well. She was very friendly, and just as baffled as I about how we had both been hearing that same melody since our childhood. She told me her name. It was Osayo. Osayo, I thought to myself afterwards. I couldn't believe it, because she also told me that she was born in Wajima, but now lived in the beautiful mountainous area known as Gokayama in southwestern Toyama Prefecture. Could it be that her parents had named her after the famous Osayo, who was so important in the development of Gokayama folk music? That Osayo, whose well-known commemorative song is being performed here by members of the Gokayama Miyama Kai, followed by the Gokayama Folk Music Preservation Society, was born in 1669 into a poor farming family in the town of Monzen on the Noto Peninsula. When she was 13, she was sent to the nearby city of Wajima to apprentice in a noodle-making shop. Then, when she was 18 and had finished her apprenticeship, she returned home, but this time she was sold into prostitution in the city of Kanazawa. At that time, the red light district trade was not permitted in Kanazawa, but Osayo's employer, in collusion with the Kaga domain samurai Hankuro Takasaki and others, covertly operated a pleasure liaison tea house. The discovery of this led to the exile of Takasaki and the other samurai, and the shopkeepers were sentenced to death. As well, the 20 prostitutes who worked at the tea house, including Osayo, were exiled to Wajima. However, in Osayo's case, this would have meant being exiled to a location near her hometown. So she alone was banished to Gokayama, which at that time was an isolated, unexplored region used by the Kagamaeda clan as an exile location. Osayo arrived in Gokayama in the year 1690, when she was 21 years old. Her treatment in Gokayama was not all that harsh. She was not imprisoned and was free to walk around in the village. Eventually, she began teaching the villagers the songs, dances, and shamisen playing that she had learned in the red light district, and, owing to her beauty and her artistry, soon became an object of adoration in the village, while she herself grew quite fond of her life there. In the course of this relatively free life, Osayo and a young villager named Yoshino fell in love with each other. However, when Osayo later became pregnant, her situation changed radically. It was prohibited for a person in exile to marry or have a child with a person from the village. Worried that this situation would also bring trouble to the village, and not knowing what to do, Osayo finally chose to throw herself to her death in the Sho River. This song to which we have been listening, called Osayo-Bushi, is a well-loved traditional selection from the present-day Gokayama folk music repertoire, and is said to have originated back in those days when the villagers began singing it as they grieved over Osayo's terrible misfortune. Gokayama now has the reputation of being a treasure house of folk music, and Osayo is considered to be a true benefactor who played an invaluable role in the development and transmission of that rich cultural tradition. Well, regardless of how this mysterious girl came to have such an intriguing name, one thing was certain. This really was a case of love at first sight. The next few months turned into a delightful whirlwind of dating and getting to know each other better and better. Then we had a sincere talk and decided to become engaged. And it was fine with me when Osayo requested that we hold the wedding ceremony in, yes, Gokayama.